What did you say?
You want to know if you support reparations.
I'm sorry?
You want to know if you support reparations.
I support reparations, but other than that name, y'all need to learn what reparations is. Y'all keep talking about a word. It means to repair.
It's cash payments for all.
Hell no. You never get it.
Why not? That's why we need your support. You got a lot of power.
You will never get it.
You have a lot of leverage.
Let me ask you a question.
You get our support. We've been dedicated to you for a very long time.
Will you listen?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. If you are mulatto and you are allowed to get an education, and this person is not allowed to get an education, how will you measure which one to do what?
I was allowed to get an education, but
that's not the point. You're talking about the law. You're talking about the law. You're talking about my wife, whose grandfather was white, and therefore her mother could get educated, but her daddy was African and could not get educated. How do you measure that?
But Africans get educated now. You support Africans getting educated right now.
We're living in Africa.
You living in America.
Okay. I know you got more sense than I got. I understand that.
Thank you.
So y'all just heard that right there, and I don't know if I've done a bed bucking video on Jim Clyburn yet or not. I have to go through the archives and see if I have to understand if this will be his second entry at the very least. So I came across this video on Jason Black's channel. He posted this up on his page, on his Twitter account, yesterday, I think last night, because I'm recording this on May 12, 2023. And I'm going to read the caption above. Y'all can't see it. It says, 2 weeks ago, Darrell James asks Representative James Clyburn if he supports cash reparations. He says flat out, hell no, and then tries to pitch education as being reparations. How many times have we heard the education line before? I keep telling y'all, we got to watch those from within. We literally have no friends, even with those. When I say from within, I'm talking about within. I'm talking about those who are classified as FBA as well, much like Jim Clyburn is. Now, like, I don't know if I've said it before, but if I have, I'll say it right here. It's one thing when you hear white people or any other group that's non-black say things. It's one thing also when you hear people who are non-FBA say things, because they don't qualify. So we can see where their vitriol is coming from, even though we don't give a damn. But it's another thing when you have those who are from within who could actually affect the change and say things like what he just said. So this is turned into a breakdown. Y'all know how the breakdowns work. We play it all the way through, and then we go back and we analyze what was being said, even though it's the same thing that I've done in previous breakdowns when it comes to this topic, because the talking points do not change. They do not get off script, no matter who is holding the script and reading from it.
What did you say?
You want to know if you support reparations.
I'm sorry?
You want to know if you support reparations.
I support reparations, but other than that name, y'all need to learn what reparations is.
So the guy asked them, we want to know if you support reparations. And then Jim Clyburn comes back and says, I'll support reparations, but not in that name. So he'll support it as long as it doesn't require cash payments, which at that point is no longer reparations. It's whatever they deemed it to be. And then he tries to insult this guy's intelligence and says, you need to understand what reparations is. And then that's when he goes into the part about repair. We know what it is. We don't need a definition. We already understand, excuse me, what it is. We just know, we need to know, are you behind it? And if you are, which he clearly isn't, what are you planning to intend to do in order for that to go forward? And the crazy part about it is, this guy will continue to be elected even after saying this, for whatever reason that is. This guy's probably going to hold this position until he's in the grave. Like, I have a feeling that's how it's really going to play itself out. And the thing is, like I said, this is the side of people that a lot of black people don't see, because they'll watch them on television and they'll present themselves one way. But this, what you see right here, which is like raw footage, when there's no other cameras around, when they're not being interviewed by these big platforms, this is who they are. And I'm sure Jim Clyburn has done plenty for other groups of people that are not in his voting block.
Y'all keep talking about a word. It means to repair.
It's cash payments for all.
Hell no.
And he said it right there. Hell no. It's basically one of them things of stop asking me about that because my stance is not going to change. But unfortunately, he keeps getting reelected. Now, if y'all remember, last year I interviewed Marcel Dixon when he was running for this seat. And they was at that fish fry that Jim Clyburn likes to always host every time he wins. And he basically was asked the same question there, and his stance was pretty much the same then. It just wasn't as boisterous as he was right here, because I don't remember hearing him cuss. But he's at that point where he feels like he's fed up with being asked that question. Well, that's too damn bad. You're going to continue to be asked that question. I wouldn't be surprised if this man going to start having more security around him and try to have black people arrested just for asking him a question, and then he's probably going to frame it as being harassed. But he won't do that to anybody else. Again, y'all are watching the real Jim Clyburn, not that facade that he presents to the world when he's being interviewed by CNN or MSNBC.
You'll never get it.
You'll never get it. Hell no, you will never get it. Those are his words. I want people to understand and hear clearly what he said. That's not me saying that. That's him.
Why not? That's why we need your support. You got a lot of power.
You will never.
Now, notice the guy asked him why not, and then he turns his head down because he can't even give a logical response as to why we will never get it. Just that we'll never get it.
Again.
And it's and again, to the people out there who claim that, oh, the left or the Democrats, they're doing all of this and whatnot. Jim Clyburn is about as quote unquote left as you can get. And listen to what he's saying. And this is another black man telling this to another black man. So that's two down for you, because you have a lot of these PC individuals who seem to think that it's the left that's going to give in all the stuff to black people and lead us all to the promised land. But no, they have the same mindset as y'all do when it comes to this topic. Y'all may differ in other places, but somewhere in the middle, y'all meet when it comes to being anti-black on a lot of issues, reparations being at the top of that list, or damn near at the top of that list.
You have a lot of leverage.
Let me ask you a question.
You get our support. We've been dedicated to you for.
And that's the problem. To the one who says you get our support, that's the problem right there. Y'all need to stop supporting him. Y'all need to stop giving him support because he's not supporting you. From this and in other arenas as well. Not just in this, but in other areas. I'm sure of it.
Will you listen?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. If you are mulatto and you are allowed to get an education, and this person is not allowed to get an education, how will you measure which one to do what?
Now, how did he manage to just pull up the whole education thing? And did he just say mulatto? It sounds like what he said. Like, it's kind of noisy in there, but it did sound like he said mulatto. But then again, like again, he brought up the education thing. This person sounds like they've had their education. Like they sound like they've been outside of high school and college if they went for years. What are you talking about? And like I said, the education thing, that only benefits children, teenagers and, emerging adults when it comes to public schooling and college level education. For those of us who have been far removed from the education system for years, that does not benefit us at all. And that education thing could benefit everybody. He should have asked Jim Clyburn about that anti-Asian hate crime bill. Why is that something that's specified for them? You got to back these people into a corner. Don't let them try to get any kind of leverage of wiggling their way out. And then when they say stuff like this, you got to be on them to see what kind of legislation are they passing for other groups in particular, so you can throw that hypocritical mess back at them. Of course, they're going to come up with another reason and excuse and a lie of all things in order to back up why they do what they do. Again, lie, trick, shins.
But that's not the point. You're talking about the law. You're talking about the law. You're talking about my wife, whose grandfather was white, and therefore her.
So he's talking about his wife. So I'm assuming his wife is mixed. The way that he's framing this, I'm guessing, because I've never seen his wife before, and I don't feel like Googling it, but someone can write down in the chat. Is his wife mixed? Is she biracial? The way that he's explaining this, because he said that her father was white or her grand. Let me run that back.
Whose grandfather was white.
Okay, she said her grandfather was white.
And therefore her mother could get educated. But her daddy was African and could not get it.
So her dad is mixed. Her mother is African. And he was talking about how her mother could get an education because, I guess, of her complexion, and her dad could not because of his. See, he's going all over the place. Like, what does this have to do with the initial question of supporting reparations? You see where he went with that? He literally went completely off course and started talking about his wife's family. That had nothing to do with the discussion. But he brought it up because he tried to insert that thing of, oh, education is your form of reparations. Just a bunch of nonsense. Again, this is who y'all have, for those in South Carolina, have running a sector of your state.
How do you measure that?
But Africans,
or should I say being a representative of your state,
get educated now. You support Africans getting educated right now.
Now, notice what just happened. I don't know if he put that up or someone else did. They put a whole clipboard up in front of this man's camera on his phone. I'm assuming he's recording on his phone to try to block it out. The utter disrespect. What did they say? We have no friends from outside and from some within. We are all we got. And when I say we are all we got, I'm talking about the ones who are on code. This man is off and has been off code for many, many years. And he's not even a representative of my state.
Living in Africa. You living in America.
Okay. I know you got more sense than I got.
Well, let me run that back again.
Right now. We're living in Africa. You living in America.
He said we're not living in Africa, we living in America. I'm talking about I think his name was Darrell James. He said we're not living in Africa, we're living in America, which is true. And see, the thing is, when you back them into a corner like that, they start to wave their hand. Like you see how he kind of tried to shoo him away, like, you know, shoo fly, get away from me. That's what he was trying to do. Initially, that's kind of what he did.
I know you got more sense than I got.
Now, see how he's just kind of sending him away. Like, leave me alone. Like, go away. I'm tired of, like, looking at you, let alone having to talk to you. This is Jim Clyburn, y'all. This is the real Jim Clyburn. For all of his supporters down there, y'all are getting a glimpse of who he really is. I don't care how you may or may not feel about it, but it is what it is. That image that he presents himself to y'all during his campaign trial, that's a fake. What he puts out there on television, maybe with campaign slogans and whatnot, that's a fake. Speaking of slogan, he always likes to say, stop sloganizing all this, that, and the third. Fake, phony, bogus, fiction. That is him. And now he goes back to doing whatever it is that he's doing. What did Jason Black say? You got to watch out for these old niggas. I present to you one of those old niggas that you got to look out for. Now, what I found about this whole thing to be interesting is that if y'all remember back in 2021, Jim Clyburn literally sponsored a bill that was going to support the Catawba Indian Nation Lands Act, December 27, 2021. And this is actually coming off of clyburn.house.gov. So this is official letterhead right here. And I think I talked about this in a video back when this happened. It says, Congressman James E. Clyburn praised the enactment of the Catawba Indian Nations Land Act included in the National Defense Authorization Act signed into law by President Biden today. The Catawba Indian Nations Lands Act clarifies that the Catawba Indian Nation is subject to the well-established rules and regulations of the Indian Gaming Regulatory Act on their modern and ancestral lands in the state of North Carolina. This new law clarifies that the tribe's 1993 Land Claims Settlement Act and reaffirms recent action taken by the Department of Interior to take land into the trust for the tribe. I was proud to work with my colleagues in the House and Senate to ensure passage of this bipartisan piece of legislation, said Congressman Clyburn. The Catawba Indian Nations Land Act is a very significant step towards rectifying historic injustices that have been perpetrated against the Catawba Indian Nation. This legislation will be crucial in helping the Catawba Indian Nation secure economic sufficiency. Congressman Clyburn was the original sponsor of the legislation in the House, and Senator Lindsey Graham has previously sponsored similar legislation in the Senate. South Carolina Representatives William Timmons and Joe Wilson also co-sponsored the bill. Nowhere in there is he talking about some education the way he was talking to that black man in that video, or any black person for that matter who brings up the topic of reparations. That education thing is non-existent here. And he was proud to do this. Look at this. He praised this for a group of people that is not him. Probably didn't even vote for this man. Probably didn't even know who he was from a can of paint. But he praised this, but he shuts down reparations, which is something he could probably benefit from. I'm trying to figure out, what does Jim Clyburn benefit from this? He's not Native American. So why are you leaning heavy to support this is the question of the day. I just wanted to bring this up because some people may have forgotten about this, but I'm here to tell you I have a memory like an elephant. I ain't forget.